This man was on the verge of death, but he couldn't stop worrying about his dog. To help her survive the apocalypse, he built a robot. He uploaded everything he knew about dog care into it and gave strict instructions. If Finch disappeared, the robot's first duty would be to protect the dog. But one final step remained. He had to give the robot eyes. He looked at the robot dog. The robot dog got excited, thinking they were heading out for supplies again. But in the next second, the man took its eyes and installed them into the new robot. Luckily, there was a spare camera at the base, so the robot dog became one-eyed, just to survive the intense UV rays. Finch set off for San Francisco, but soon after leaving, a terrifying tornado appeared. He slammed the pedal to the floor, but still underestimated its speed. At that moment, he jumped out of the vehicle and grabbed the winch chain, trying to anchor the van in place. When he reached the final stake, Finch was too weak. But in the next second, they both ran back to the vehicle. The van shook violently. It didn't last long. 3 steel cables snapped one by one. Only the last anchor held till the end. They survived the storm, but one of the wheels was damaged. Thankfully, Jeff found a spare tire. But unfortunately, Finch didn't have a jack. Just as he was losing hope, Jeff lifted the van himself and joked, "Is this hard for you?" With Jeff's help, Finch quickly replaced the tire. They hit the road again, but Finch's health kept getting worse, and they had to stop and rest. To Finch's surprise, when he stepped outside, he saw Jeff in the driver's seat, copying his driving style. As expected, trouble followed. Finch heard a noise and rushed out. What he saw was shocking. The robot had lied. It seemed like it had developed a will of its own. Finch sensed something was wrong, but stayed calm. He asked Jeff to bring him the protective suit, but Jeff disobeyed and started the RV again. Finch got furious. His time was running out, and yet he couldn't control his own creation. He held back his anger and called Jeff over. Then, without any protection, he reached his hand outside. White smoke rose from his palm. He chose this painful method to push the robot toward maturity, because he created Jeff for one purpose: to care for the dog after his death. Finch's words deeply hurt Jeff, and during the ride, Jeff hid in the back of the van. Finch realized he had been too harsh. To lighten the mood, he offered to teach Jeff to drive early. Jeff lit up with joy. The next day, a butterfly landed on the windshield. Finch was stunned. To be sure, he slowly reached out his hand. Amazingly, this time he didn't feel any burning. The sunlight now gave him warmth, something he hadn't felt in over 10 years. For the first time, he felt it again. He wore a neat suit, sat in the sun, and ate canned food he had saved for years. But peace didn't last. Finch began coughing blood again. His time was up. Jeff tried to help him into the van, but Finch suddenly stopped and gave Jeff a tight hug, like a father hugging his son. At that moment, Jeff was no longer just a robot. He had feelings. Shortly after, Finch passed away, but Jeff's mission wasn't over. He continued the journey with the dog.